It's time now to know what's on the front pages of the Nigerian newspaper. Journalists Ifi Onyegbile and Dare Odufowokon are here in the studio. Good morning, gentlemen of the press. Good morning, Ifi.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dare. Good to have you. Now, let's head straight to the papers now, and we'll begin with the blueprint. Under 24 hours, gunmen attacked Senator Odia twice on Lokoja-Abuja Road. Gunmen attacked Senator Odia twice on Lokoja-Abuja Road. You find details of the story on the pages of the blueprint. To the Daily Trust now, outrage over viral video of 19 herders killed in Anambra. Targeting northerners is a dangerous game, elders. North will no longer tolerate provocation from IPOB CNG. You find the details of the stories on the pages of the Daily Trust. To the Nation newspaper now. Nigeria can't afford another civil war, Osinbajo warns. Oni Sultan caution against cessation calls. Abaribe, government creating room for disintegration. You find details of the story on the pages of the Nation newspaper. We'll look at that shortly. Well, to the Daily Sun now, INEC proposes February the 8th for 2023 presidential poll. Warns of consequences in Electoral Act amendment delay. Reps OK bill for creation of 147 additional National Assembly, States Assembly seats for women. Details of the story on the pages of the Daily Sun. To the Vanguard newspaper now, Nigeria in trouble, security architecture of no use. Southwest, South-South governors present security architecture can neither guarantee effective policing nor address challenges. Governor Akeredolu adds no consistent policy to manage #EndSARS aftermath. Federal government to sit up, situation not partisan. President all around him must rise to the occasion. Governor Okowa. All right, we'll move now to the Daily Times. Disgust as embattled CBN medals in First Bank's choice of Shobo as new MD CEO. Details of that story on the page of the Daily Times. To the Nigerian News Direct now, Senate approves 216.64 billion naira for FIRS in 2021. Service to generate 7.61 trillion from revenue collection. To the Punch newspaper, cash crunch, NNPC writes governors bloated subsidy eats up revenue. Cash crunch, NNPC writes governors bloated subsidy eats up revenue. To the Daily Independent now, INEC troubled over Electoral Act amendment bill passage. INEC troubled over Electoral Act amendment bill passage. And finally, on the front page of The Guardian, growing concern as correctional facilities risk more jailbreak. Growing concerns as correctional facilities risk more jailbreak. You find details of that story on the pages of the Guardian newspaper. All right, let's head straight to the Nation newspaper before we look at the other issue we need to consider today. Nigeria can't afford another civil war. That's what Osinbajo, that's the vice president, is warning. And a lot of Nigerians have been concerned that the situation, the issues that led to the civil war are very, very present with us, even much more glaring, Ifi.
Exactly. And when I read that report, that's what the vice president said. I just said, look, there's nothing new in what it is that he has said. A lot of people have talked about this, and I say to people, my father told me about the war, the things that happened. And when you hear such stories, you wouldn't expect anyone to, think about things like this, this period. But as you've said, all the signs are there. It is now left for Nigeria. When I say Nigeria, everyone is involved to decide what it's going to be, because it's actually imminent. And I know I've said it over and over. Nigeria is actually hanging on a very thin rope. if you understand what I'm saying. And it's actually going to snap any moment. I was listening while you were going through the papers. Look at what happened in Anambra State. Now the North is saying we cannot sit down, fold our arms and watch these things happen. There have been years when people have also been killed in the North. People won't sit down and fold their arms like that. So when things like this continue to happen, I'm afraid what might happen in this country called Nigeria. Yesterday on a program, people were calling into a radio station and saying, look, are you even sure that 2023 is going to happen? Are you sure there's going to be a Nigeria before 2023? Because they were reacting to the fact that INEC is coming out at a period such as this to say, look, the timetable is out. This is when elections will hold.
Is it insensitive?
Exactly. No one is talking about how to restore peace, how to safeguard lives and property in Nigeria. What you're thinking about is the elections of 2023. This is 2021. I'm not saying don't walk ahead, but there are issues that need to be resolved. So for the vice president to come out to say this, it is expected for him to say this because of the position that he occupies. But they need to do exactly what it is that's right. And it's about sitting down on that table and talking about issues having to do with this country.
He is sorry, I have to take that from you now to Dari. He is asking, that's the vice president now, he's asking the political elite to rise up in the defense of national unity and speak up against the call for disintegration. I mean, there has been a lot of people speaking, aren't they?
People are speaking.
But
the vice president have just spoken. And more
he's part of the elite.
More people will still speak.
But he's speaking enough.
The truth of the matter is, like if you said, and you echoed earlier, if we have the signs there, and we are all aware that, you see, we talk about the civil war in isolation most times. People don't talk about those things that led to the civil war. The killings and counter-killings of the late 60s led to the civil war.
Absolutely.
The coups and counter-coups of the late 60s led to the civil war we started in 67 and ended in 1970. Then, taking it from there, let us look at those things that led to the killings and the counter-killings, the coups and the counter-coups. Dissatisfaction by pockets of people, groups of people, sectors all over the country from 1963. People became dissatisfied with a lot of things, starting with government policies. Owing to activities of the political class. If people became disenchanted, are these people really representing us? Then the army became interested because the people cried out. The army felt, we hold the arms, we should be able to do something. There was a coup. There was a counter coup. There were killings in the north, reprisal killings in the east, more killings in other parts of the country. And then some people sat down and said, look, we cannot continue to fold our hands. We just had that this morning.
Yes.
We will not fold our hands while our people are being killed. And there are responses that your people are killing our people too. And before you knew it, people are saying, we will send away your people from our own region. And then we start hearing, we no longer feel safe here. We have to return home. Will you tell people who carry their bags and baggages and said, I am going home? Are you either government or anything? Do you have any power to stop them? And once that starts happening, we are laying the final grounds for division. And just like it happened in those days, we are already hearing calls for secession.
Yeah.
Let us go our separate ways. If you want to be this name, we will be called that name. We will no longer have any business with you. And then it is growing by the day.
Louder and louder.
Louder and louder. And all we do is make statements. All we do is advise. Beyond that, we need to look at those issues. If we start by considering restructuring early enough now, it is better late than never. If we allow things to generate and we no longer have one unified, safe Nigeria, we will not talk about restructuring again. We will be talking about peace accords, God forbid. Remember the Aburi Accords?
Yes.
In the 60s. By the time the Aburi Accord came, it no longer could help.
It couldn't.
People returned from Ghana, where Aburi is, to sing different tunes. Because the issues are far gone. They were far gone. What we should be talking about now, just take the Vice President's statement, put it side by side, the statement of a senator, Senator Abaribe, just the same yesterday. Then you will understand that we are already in trouble. While the president is talking about, the vice president is talking about, let us ensure we don't go to war. A senator of the Federal Republic is reminding us that, look, all the signs
are there.
And the federal government is making the call for secession, the call for disunity stronger by the day by its own activities. Can we conveniently sit down here and say Abaribe is lying? My answer is no.
Right.
While I would caution people like him to speak with more optimism, because if you read some of them, they are no longer optimistic, and these are the people who should hold the thread of this country together.
That's it. So if they are speaking in such
but
manner,
can you tell me that he is totally wrong? The answer is no.
He may not be totally wrong, but there is a reason why he is there.
That's what I'm telling you. But if the reason why he's there is to represent his people, and he can see what his people are going through,
that will affect his people positively.
that is why he is saying, look, these signs are there, and he's pointing fingers. The presidency, the federal government, you are not helping the situation. I agree with him in that area, but I plead with him, like I said, let us be more optimistic.
And
if people like him, I'm patriotic. If people like him totally lose hope and they show it, then the country is in for it.
Then it
That
goes
is
to
why
show.
we will say,
doesn't that go to show that they need to do something as quickly as possible?
He has said it. He
beyond
said,
speaking.
for him in this
Yes.
situation, there is little or nothing he can do. He is not in the executive. He represents a constituency. What he is sent there to do is to talk.
Right.
And he's talking, saying the signs are there.
Okay.
Day by day, everything we do as a government, as a people, that is not to exonerate we Nigerians. The kind of videos we share on social media are those that can break this country. Somebody did something yesterday, sorry.
We have to
I
be
said,
careful with
why
the
this
choice of
news
words? Yes.
of killings and everything is being shared? He said some Nigerian young scholars, secondary school, went abroad and won first position in international competitions. In the last 3 months, more than 4 or 5 of them. I don't see that trending. But news about killings, news about how we want to create a new republic, news about how people we want to ensure that we don't want police again, news about why people should not join a Bubiagu or we will kill them, are trending day by day.
That's what's happening in the polity. You will not blame people for sharing.
The other ones I mentioned to just happen in the polity.
Yes, they happen.
Let's share those ones
too. It depends on what it is people. You just said
what people are feeling.
Exactly. You wouldn't stop people from expressing themselves the way that they feel. But we need to be cautious. I've always talked about that. You know, self-censorship. It makes a lot of sense. You just talked about Abaribe. Abaribe is there to represent his people. That's the truth. And he's just speaking out. Yes, I know he has a following.
Absolutely.
I would call it a called following. And when they see that a man like that has actually lost hope, agitated, pessimistic about it, it could also fuel them to say, look, I'm not sure that we have any stake in this country, and this call for secession will continue.
Perhaps that is why the vice president
as Dari has said, they need to talk about those issues that are glaring, staring us in the face, because the signs are there that Nigeria is just dancing on that precipice. Whatever happens, I'm just praying we don't fall into that.
But there are those who feel that, if he's still sticking with you, that perhaps the issues that we haven't healed from that time, and so it's the effect that we are seeing springing up now.
I'm glad that you're bringing this up, because we like to hide our heads in the sand like the ostrich. That's the truth. When you look at very civilized climes, you talk about the history of a country. I don't know what has happened to history when we talk about our schools now. Do you teach Nigerian children about what happened during the Civil War? I hear it's a taboo. No one wants to talk about it. Why don't you put the cards on the table? Let people understand.
Will that help the process of healing?
Yes, of course. People need to understand where they're coming from. It will help them have an idea where it is that they're going. Talk about it. If people need to apologize for what it is they've done to people, you come out and do that so that there will be what is called total healing. I'm glad you talked about it. Yes, you have that closure. Okay, X number of persons were killed. People talk about the Holocaust. They talk about the things that happened. You know, but you have the issues there, the history is there. People can read about it. Children can talk about it. And that's why when I see people talking about Biafra, not many of them understand what happened.
What happened then?
That time. Because there is no history. No one is writing about it. The kind of accounts
a lot
that
of
you
people
get.
have written about
you
it.
have accounts of foreigners writing about what happened here in Nigeria. It shouldn't be. We need to tell our own stories. Now, if you have such a book that would describe the gory things that happened during that civil war, who would allow such a book to sell in Nigeria? Yes, I know it could open some wounds, but it could also lead us to the closure that we want, so that we can sit down and forge ahead talking about that one Nigeria that we keep mouthing. And people are saying, what's one about Nigeria? When some people feel that they're better than other people, others are not getting opportunities. So I think these things need to be looked at if we truly want to move forward.
Gary.
Let me quickly come in here about your talking about perhaps we still have scars.
Healing.
I think I disagree with that.
Really?
The 1967 to 1970 Civil War came and ended with the then federal government announcing no victor, no vanquished. The effects were on both sides. It was a country that fought itself. And losses either in the east, in the west, in the north, were national losses. And I think the best closure we could have is to see it that way. Contrary, it is actually that people feel the Civil War wronged some part more than the other.
But don't you think so, Gary?
I don't
think so.
I don't think so.
I don't understand how you would say that it was a loss for every Nigerian.
It is my opinion, please. And we are on national TV. And this is a national issue.
Well, I understand that.
I don't think so, that it was a sectional loss. It was a national loss. Various countries all over the world have fought civil wars. The best way to go forward is to see that we fought ourselves. If we continue to think that it is one-sided, it is lopsided, it's a war. There will be winners and losers. The moment you decide to go to war, it's like going into a contest. So we should not see it as the closure we look for is in accepting that we disagreed, we went to war with ourselves, not you against me. At the end of the day, we found reason to end the war, and we are back. And I believe that, especially looking at the East healed quickly, and I always give them credit.
You think they did?
They did, because look at where Easterners were during that war.
But that is where the noise came from again.
So you mean that, no, I disagree. It didn't come from there this time. It is coming from a part of the country where many people say they were not even involved in the Civil War. If you agree that it was because of the Civil War that we are having calls for Biafra now, what's happening in the Southwest? Was there a Civil War that badly affected the Southwest? We must not sectionalize this issue. Rather, the same things that led to that war. You think the Igbos just felt they just want to leave? No. Like Ojukwu said, he said Biafra will go if they are pushed to leave. Can we conveniently say they were not pushed? Or is this the time to begin to apportion blame to those who pushed them or who did not push them?
Not looking at
what I'm saying is
closure, yes.
It is not about the past care. It's about present happening. Some things are happening now that will not help us to grow as a nation.
Absolutely.
Let us see it for what it is. If it is just about past happenings, then it should be only Biafra we should be hearing about. We shouldn't be hearing about other republics that we are hearing day in, day out.
That I tell you,
there are people in the middle belt who are just waiting in the wings. Continue this your agitation. If they see signs that it was Biafra who went to the United Nations of unrecognized people or something and got membership. Few days ago, my Odua people just announced to us that they are also members of that. I don't understand the body anyway.
But that we need to understand.
TVs and the Idomas and the Calabas. If this continues, that's when you realize that everybody.
But you agree with me that we must understand where the rain started to beat us.
Maybe you see it that way.
We have to understand where the rain started to beat us.
I think there was a war.
But whatever it is. We fought a war.
It ended.
Yes, but I'm glad you also agreed. I'm glad you also agreed here that there was a particular sect or set of people who were devastated by the war. That's the truth. You don't need to agree. But whatever it is,
we fought ourselves.
We didn't fight ourselves. If we fought ourselves, it won't be called a civil war.
That the things that we must not get to that point.
That's why it's a civil war. It's an internal thing.
Right, Dari. We must agree that as the vice president has advised, we cannot afford to get there.
We shouldn't even think about it.
Let's quickly move on to touch this issue that has to do with the JUSUN strike, Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria. There was a partial suspension some days ago, but the national body is saying that no, you can't afford to ensure a partial suspension. Lagos is saying that they are not affected by that autonomy, but the national body is saying no, everyone has to fight this fight and move forward. Dari.
Yeah, well, you see, when there is a break in the ranks, then we already understand where we are heading. And a few weeks ago, I was here with Ife, and there was this argument about our labor union and strikes. And my argument was, look, if you start something, finish it.
Right.
Be total about what you want. Get your demands and then suspend the strike or call it off. Don't do what we used to call initial gra-gra. During our student union days, you do this, you just make noise, then they talk to you, they give you 10% or 5% of what you're asking for, then you take a back seat. I am afraid that this JUSUN strike, that is, in a long time I see as one of those strikes that is not about money. And I have a lot of respect for them.
For them, yeah.
They're talking about give us autonomy. They're not asking for money. In their demand, I think money is the least.
Of course.
Give the judiciary autonomy. And if they sail through with their demand, let me tell you, the state assemblies too will benefit. Because the agreement that they are using as the basis combines both.
Yes.
Autonomy for states, House of Assembly, that's the legislature, and the judiciary. The lawmakers usually are afraid of their governors. They are keeping quiet. But the judicial workers are saying, come, this is a law that has been passed. There is even another order by the president to that effect.
Asking that they
implement this
matter, yes.
And the governors largely are refusing to do anything.
What are they afraid of? Now, that's the question.
I'll tell you. There are three arms of government. Executive, judiciary, legislature. The executive is headed by the governor. He will spend 4 years, then will have to leave.
Right.
Largely during elections. If he does not control the judiciary, judges will be so free to give the right judgment at the right time, no delay, which may not be in his interest. Selfishness, nothing else.
But isn't that a threat to our democracy?
But is it a threat to his office? It's selfish. And you're talking about the threat to general interest. When a person is selfish, the only threat is those threats that threatens him personally. You are talking about threat to our general interest, our democracy.
But he is supposed to be there on behalf of the people.
In the interest of his own democracy. His personal democracy, which is his office he occupies, and he wants to stay there. Talk about the assembly. When the governor misbehaves, and the assembly is free of his influence, they'll quickly remove him, using the powers they have. But when they know that if you start an impeachment procedure against the governor, your allocations will stop immediately. And the governor has money to bribe other lawmakers, and they remove that speaker. These are reasons why. But the judicial workers are doing great. We can only advise that the break in rank should be avoided. The moment Lagos is saying we are not affected by the lack of autonomy, I'm shocked. I am just shocked.
All right. Ify, I need to get your point of view to this matter now. How can they move forward, really? Because the judiciary is supposed to be the last hope of the common
man.
But it's obviously been threatened here. And we see that there are some governors who are even lawyers. They know the law. They are not pushing this. So it's just a conflict of so many things.
It's the corruption that we're talking about. I quite agree with most of what it is that Darius talked about here. You know, selfishness and the ability to not do the right thing. I'm wondering how Lagos will say, look, we're not affected. When you're doing something, it has to be all for one as it is. You're in it together. And if you want to fight it, take that fight to the end and see that you get exactly what it is that you want. When people begin to drop out, which is what I think decapitated the NLC, if you ask me.
Right.
When they come up with an agitation, you find that some people in some states will say, oh, we're not part of it. You dissociate yourself or disengage from what it is that the national body wants to do. And that's why you have dissenting voices here and there. You want to fight for a cause, because I want to believe that what's happening to the worker in Niger State should also be the same thing that the worker in Lagos is thinking about. I know Lagos is such a wonderful state where you will say the civil service, maybe they are enjoying or having a good time.
Taken care of.
But if there is a body that covers all civil servants as it is something that everyone should be involved. So this juicing of a thing, I think they should come together and decide. You don't have to extricate yourself from the agitations of the others. Get in there, follow through, and see that you get exactly what it is that you want. You just talked about people getting maybe 10% of what it is that they ask. Then they go back, take a back seat, wake up again to say we have resumed the strike. It just shouldn't be like that. Go all out, ask for what you want, and get it. And I think that's the way to go.
All right, so we'll leave the conversation here. If you're Dario Dufon, thank you so much for your time on the program.
For having us.